So welcome everybody to another episode of the Brewmasters Club cast. Here is what you have to look forward to in tonight's episode.
I'll go last. I gotta go get mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dane forgot his.
What could it be?
Dane,
I wonder.
give it the old.
Oh, God. I think you had too many chicken wings. That was a little.
Let's just think about jalapeno.
And the world of rain.
Oh my God!
Save those electrolytes. Louse, anything else?
It sounds very refreshing.
Good. All right.
That explains a lot.
Why aren't we covering that? That's
Why aren't you
fantastic.
living in an RV, Louse? That's the question.
Real good question. I don't know.
I see you looking around.
I'm sorry for the audio out there. It was real silent. It's basically just someone accelerating an electric car.
No, that's what that was.
Yeah, right. Sorry, you can't really hear it.
Do they even sell cars? What is a Volvo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Get some.
Get some.
Yeah.
Space. Get some space.
Guys, motivating.
Stop off me, bro.
Space.
Everyone just floating around. All right, I can't.
ISIS is on the moon.
Can we just please get a space command? Because all I want is a space command. Can we just say we have space command?
Well, I was gonna ask Laos if you wanted to have a space party.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay, I'll plan it.
Definitely.
Oh no, he missed it.
Oh,
He missed
yeah,
it.
he'll plan it.
All right,
But-
Dane, that's fine. Dane, you can, but let's just keep it off your anus this time, okay?
Say no more.
Yeah. Oh,
Say no more.
I remember that was a black hole of terribleness.
Oh, that was
Oh,
amazing.
boy.
Way to come back with that little zinger.
Restricted area.
Drill or something? Negative. Fine by me. I hate drill.
You crazy mother.
Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Good evening, all you craft beer fans out there. We are the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club. Wait, how do I do this?
You did it.
Wordings. I don't like your wording. Talking about some craft brews. And who else could do that better than my esteemed colleagues? I'm partially joined by Mr. Dane. How are you, sir?
Hey, good.
Fantastic. All right. In addition to Dane, we also have Ryan. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fantastic.
I see you're a little late to the podcast, but that's fine. Moving right along without any room for interjection, we have our founder, Donnie. Donnie, how you doing?
Awesome. Glad to be here.
Well, let's go ahead and dive into it, boys. We got a jam-packed show. She's a real juicy one. Okay, so per our norm, we'll go ahead and start off with our What Are You Drinking segment.
Oh, our famous segment, what are you drinking, what are you going to drink, what will you drink in the future?
All right, if you have notes from my way of doing it, you should just do it. But our famous What Are You Drinking and What Will You Drink? Who wants to kick us off tonight, boys?
I'll go last. I gotta go get mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dane forgot his.
What could it be?
Dane?
I wonder.
Ah,
Great. Fantastic.
last man,
All
kick
right.
us off.
Okay, great. I have brought the Shipyard Brewing Island Time IPA session.
Guess what? So, here's my last stash of the good stuff, gents. So,
That's so much Cold Mountain.
So I'm
This is
telling you,
the
man,
last, but he still has 8. Like,
yeah, this
It's
is
a
the
cold
last
mountain
of it.
rain.
it's just like 1 or 2. It's like,
So I'm going to drink one tonight. And if you guys want a venture trip to North Carolina, I might save you one. Because I know you guys want to try these out really bad. Like you're just ready. I can
You're
tell.
just-
I can
We're
see it in
so
your
ready.
eyes.
We're just itching at the bit.
you know,
Yeah.
I gotta say, the one thing that Dane has been really consistent at is this, like, and persistence wears resistance, and I definitely want to try one now.
Okay.
I believe him. I've heard this review 18 times. I know exactly what it tastes like. I don't want to have one.
It's funny because every time I go to my dad's, he still has like another case or 12. And he's like, hey, you want the rest of these? I'm not going to drink them. I'm like, okay. I'll just take a case every time I come home. Yeah, the
Oh,
guys
man.
will really love that, high quality, craft beer. So,
See, you know what's going to happen is the fat tire is going to set in. That's exactly what I call it. It's the fat tire-itis. It's exactly what happened when Jenny started thinking that the only craft brewer that was out there was fat tire. That's all she'd get me because it's all she knew. And I was like, yeah,
Yep.
this is great, but I'm really sick of having this right now.
and then November is going to roll around again, and I'm going to have another 20 cases of this crap. It's just a never ending. Oh, it's just never ending. But yeah, this is what I'm drinking.
And a lot of them. Laos
Yep.
man, I'm sorry. So Ryan, I think we started with you, or did we start with you, Laos man? Who are we going to start with?
Clearly, mine was to be remembered for the ages. We started with me, yes, and I have a somewhat warm Shipyard Brewing Company Island Time IPA. I like it. It tastes pretty basic.
What is the island yard? Is it hoppier? Is it sweet? Is it sour? Is it more piney than before? You said the last one you had last week was super bitter. So like, is this not as bitter? I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's a little bit more normalized, I'd say, but it's got pretty decent hop notes to it, so I like it. I mean, it just seems a little darker for an IPA, but that's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeesh.
Good man. Raga, what do you got?
All right, I am going to crack this bad boy open, and this is a featured home brew that I've yet to share with you gentlemen yet. You guys remember the Wildfire IPA?
I do.
Well, this is the Wildfire Pineapple IPA. So, yeah, it's still
It's the Panapia.
Yep, definitely. It's so good. I had to crack it open. It's got all the flavors. Dane, Donnie, you both tried it. Last man, sorry you didn't get to. It's got all the flavors of the IPA that you want, all the flavors of the jalapeno that you want. But this time I brewed it with pineapple, and it's absolutely delicious. Our good friend Gus tried it with him the other day. He was in love with it. It's a very well-balanced beer between the complexities of everything, the hops, the jalapeno, and the pineapple. And yeah, so I'm just going to drink on this for a little bit.
I want it.
So I think that's a great thing, Ryan. What you haven't done yet as a young and learning brewer is to brew one beer twice exactly the same way perfectly.
Well, you make a great point. I
want you
trying
to
to
do that because like I tell you like, yeah, I like this one, like this one. You keep perfecting, and I love that. But like now you said this is even better. That's fine. Brew it again. And then you tell me that you're good at it, and then we could upscale it.
No,
Let's do
so
a 5-gallon.
True story. Still doing the 1-gallon batches, but I was having Father's Day dinner with my dad, and he's in love with pineapple. So I told him about the jalapeno, and then he's the one that came up with the idea for it. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. So I already had the ingredients to brew the jalapeno beer again that I did the next day, and I was like, I'm just gonna go buy some pineapple and to hell with it. So I get your point, but I had to experiment with this one first. So, and I'm glad I did. Definitely hasn't let me down.
No, that's cool. I think that's great. I'm just saying, like, I want to see you be able to execute a beer 2, 3, 4 times in a row and make a quality product.
Then I will do that. My next beer, I will brew the original Wildfire IPA, and everyone will have some. Except
because I want to
share
do
with
that
everyone
one
on the podcast.
specifically on a big scale because I love that one.
Well,
like I would take that beer places.
yes, I agree with you. I want to take it places too.
We could do some stuff. Wells, give us a come on, Wells, give it to us.
Give it the old.
Oh God.
I think you had too many chicken wings. That was a little.
A little phlegmy.
Yeah, no, it was.
It's supposed to be phlegmy.
Oh yeah, You want it to be phlegmy a little bit.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Terrible. Every time I tell him to do it, I'm like, ugh.
One last piece of this. The pineapple actually
Sorry, we
tones
totally
down
cut
the
you off
heat.
making a terrible joke. What?
No, it's okay. The pineapple kind of tones down the heat. So on the next one that I do for this version, I'm going to add a little more jalapeno, just so we're clear.
Why don't you stop by my house and get a couple of my banana peppers and you throw them in there too?
I could do that, but that would change the recipe.
They're not as spicy as a jalapeno, but go ahead, Lost. Sorry.
I was going to say, I know you already have a name for it, but let's just think about jalapeno. Let's just put a pin in that. We'll come back to it. Maybe
For this one, we can go with that one if everyone else on the panel agrees, because the wildfire is just simply jalapeno. This one has pineapple, so you can call it something new.
Okay.
We'll take a vote. Anyone else like Loss's idea for the jalapeno?
I object.
Jalapeno?
Oh.
It should be because it's pineapple. It should be the jalapeno.
Or the jalapeno.
Nope, don't like that as much.
Yeah, that one's not good.
I think jalapeno is good.
Any of our podcast listeners out there, tweet us at the Brewmasters Club on Twitter and let us know what we should call this jalapeno pineapple IPA.
Sounds good to me. So,
yes.
Donnie,
what are you drinking?
That's right. So the one I brought was one that we talked about many times, and again, I have basically just an affinity for the Guinness Nitro IPA because you don't get a lot of Nitro IPAs, and I know that Guinness isn't exactly the most crafty of the craft beers, but I still enjoy this one just because it's consistent and you can get it anywhere, and there was a good deal on it. And it's been a while since I've had it, and I actually tried to give it to my wife, and she couldn't really tell it was an IPA. So I think it's an interesting beer to try. It's a brand new beer for Guinness. Of course, Guinness, is not a craft brewery by any means, but they are one of the oldest breweries in the nation or in the world. And before we started this, Ryan, we were talking about this. There's a funny fact about Guinness, and something I wanted to bring to this point here, talking about how Arthur Guinness, because I was overseas and I actually went to the brewery and it's amazing there, but Arthur Guinness started brewing in 1759 at the St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin, which is basically like Charlie the Chocolate Factory for beer. But on December 31, 1759, he signed a 9,000-year lease at 45 euros per year for the unused brewery. 10 years later, they started exporting beer, and they've been in business ever since. So I thought that was a fun fact. I'd love to sign a 9,000-year lease. I don't know how you could actually do that anymore, but that's just my opinion. So,
but that's a fun fact. I did not know that. It
is a fun
great
fact.
Business deal.
It's a fantastic business decision. All right, so now that we're out of this section, Ryan, why don't you, before it gets too rainy over there, why don't you lead us off on the next segment we have in terms of our beer news? What's going on in the world of beer? You want to
in the world of rain.
Oh my God! So, reporting live from Florida.
We're the man Ryan here.
Found this nice little article the other day. And it was basically, do you put your hops into a hop bag or do you just throw them in there and keep them loose? I thought it was a neat little thing because, brewed a couple of beers now and everybody has their own difference of opinions. Basically, the article was about investigating the differences between the two beers, even if they had the same recipe. One was brewed with hops in a hop bag. The other was brewed where the hops were loose. So the idea of an IBU, the idea behind it is that IBU sensitivity threshold was basically like people were saying that you wouldn't get as much out of it if you didn't have a hop bag or some were claiming that the difference of up to 5 IBU is being unnoticeable while others have proposed a nonlinear relationship based on the percentages of all this stuff. At the end of the day, there's really not much difference if you're brewing a beer with hop bag or if you're brewing it without. It ends up being about like an 8% increase in IBU, which is like 2. So I actually, after reading this article, I was like, well, I'm going to try something new. And in my latest beer that I brewed, I did not use a hop bag for my hop additions on either round, at the 40 and the 15. So, Donnie, what do you think about this article, and what do you think other brewers like to do, or in your opinion?
So, Ryan, just to get these facts straight. So basically, in the past,
thank you.
Yeah, you were using a hop bag in the past to just kind of corral and keep things together. But now moving forward, you've kind of cut ties with your hop bag, right?
Yes.
So that,
I have cut ties with the hop bag.
so that things are a little more all natural now, but they're maybe not as potent as what you're considering. Is the question, right?
Well, so I haven't bottled the most recent beer, but I felt like I was doing something a little more organic. Like I didn't feel like I was just sticking to the rules of brewing. So for me, the article kind of inspired to be a little more freeing in that. And I know other brewers like Tim from Craft Life, he throws his hops in without a hop bag and everything else. So, the science aside, it was actually more fun brewing. So
I'm totally just kidding. So my only concern is, as a small brewer, how do you filter out the flakes and stuff like that, so that you don't get that in your brew?
Great question, Donnie, as I almost got struck by lightning. So I ended up not even using a grain bag this time either. I cooked it just like you would normal oatmeal in a pot of water, right? In my steep. So I didn't even use a grain bag this time. And it actually made it easier transferring, because I was able to pour a little bit into my strainer at a time and then use my sparge water to help get all the extra sugars out and keep everything well balanced. So it actually allowed me to pour a little bit in, sparge, empty that out, pour more in, and everything else. So everything kind of got separated that way.
So you didn't bag your grains or your hops?
I didn't do either one. I took this article and I was like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was really freeing, actually. So at the end of the day, there was still a little bit left over, especially when at the end of the boil. I tried to get as much of the wort into the fermenter as possible without getting all the hop additions in there. But at the end of the day, all of that will go to, all the yeast will sink to the bottom. The rest of it will kind of stay on top. It'll kind of filter out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it's going to be a bad idea if there are still some hops in there, because it might just kind of make the beer have a little more full
dry
flavor.
hopping. Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I brewed a stout, so we'll kind of see. I mean, there wasn't a lot of hops into it, but there was enough to notice some difference in the whole process. And side note to that, you save money on hot bags. So
you save all the money.
Little life tip there for all you craft brewers out there. Save a little bit of money.
All right.
About $1 a bag. So
Dane, did you guys have any questions on that? Last man, any questions before we move on to the next story?
I just have a funny picture I want to post about a weatherman, but
well, you can save your weatherman butt for later.
Ooh, I had Well, are we moving on to the next segment? Because I actually had something cool that I saw at the liquor store.
Yes, just real quick, because I do know that there was a lot of science done on the article that we just kind of got the idea to talk about. So if you want to check it out, definitely research it on Google. There is a lot of science behind it. I just felt it more liberating and freeing because that's how I read it. So, last man, sorry.
No, you're good, man. So while I was making my selection, I did happen to see, and I've never seen this before, a mini keg that was for sale at the ABC for $22. It was like the Heineken keg.
Yeah, I've seen them.
But
the five
it was
liters.
Oberon.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, dude. I thought that was awesome. That was it.
Yeah. I'd rather just get a case of Oberon, just get wasted.
Well, it was $22. I'm trying to pull up the picture now because I just saw it.
I think a case of Oberon is the same. And I think a 5 liters like 18 beers or something like that. So that's pretty good. Yeah, but Oberon, people don't understand. Oberon's damn near like 6%, so it's sneaky, man. You drink Oberon all night, and you could pound some Oberons. Like, oh man, maybe on Saturday we'll get some Oberons for your party.
Party,
yeah, bud.
Yeah.
All right, so the next beer, and this we'll go through the story first, just because it's really quick. It's a quick one, but we've talked about this beer before. This is the Dogfish Head Sea Quench Ale, one of which Ryan actually has a surprise to talk about, but as he's showing that off to our YouTube listeners now, basically this is a Dogfish Head beer that they made. It's a tart, slightly sour, lime-infused, low-alcohol beer with a dash of sea salt, and it's basically made to literally just thirst quench. In fact, quote unquote, it is the most objectively thirst quenching beer on the market. The one that they've ever produced, in fact, more than 2 decades of operation. So people have been putting salt in their beer for ages, such as Bud Light Lime, things like that hit the stores a decade ago. But Dogfish Head's bolder claims of Sea Quench Ale is that this is a mineral replacing quality that can help it stand out in the still growing $23.5 billion craft beer market. Ryan, do you think this actually can stand a chance to quench the thirst of the millions of mass craft beer drinkers to add to that $24 billion market?
Well, first, Donnie, I think you can water your plants with it because it's got electrolytes.
Awesome.
So
What plants crave? Go ahead.
that is what plants crave. Yes, I do. I think my wife is proof. She's been on the podcast. She's learning to love craft beer, but she actually picks this one up and will finish a beer as opposed to just being like, okay, I've had enough of this one and giving it to me to finish. So yes, it can win over a lot of the fans if they're willing to try something different than a traditional style beer. Now, this beer does have a lot of take on, and I think it even started off as maybe a German Kolsch in a lot of ways, and then it just kept kind of changing it and adapting it and making it better. Then the lime came in and all of that. But go ahead.
Is it real limey or salty? Like, is it really like?
Have you never had one?
Have you not had it? Remember? I mean, I honestly feel like we talked about this like in August of last year, or
we
like
did.
September.
We did.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw it, I was like, "That looks great," and I picked it up. And as a matter of fact, the other night we made some steak, potatoes, and chicken for July 4th. I had a 6-pack of this. It paired perfectly with the steak, the Montreal seasoning that we had. But it is a very refreshing session beer, and just. It's hard to describe. It's got the salt, it's got the lime. It's not like drinking a Sprite or anything like that. It's a lot more beerish than that, but it's fantastic. It's just a well-balanced, full-flavored, full-seasoned beer. And it's at Publix. So for $10.50, you can go get yourself a 6-pack at Publix or ABC Liquor if you want to go there.
I want to check it out because it sounds delicious, but I want to move. I'm going to move fast on these next two
I think
beers.
Jenny would like it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I want to get it. Well, I might get it for Saturday. We'll see. Dane, Louse Man, you guys got anything on this?
Can I drink it instead of Gatorade?
As long as you're not planning on playing any sports
or doing anything athletic, it's fine.
So
very well.
But it's perfect right now because the rain just came, and now like my patio is like a sauna, and I'm sweating out here doing this for you podcast listeners. So this is helping me replenish my electrolytes.
I get them electrolytes.
We'll save those electrolytes. Louse, anything else?
It sounds very refreshing.
Good. All right. So
good.
There was another beer that hit the news feed to this week, and basically it took me by surprise because I had no idea this was ever a thing. But it's the most hipster craft beer ever, and it is a beer that is made with ramen cupo noodles. So I was This is a sour beer brewed with 55 pounds of ramen noodles, and it is described to be light and tart. Since ramen beer would taste absolutely horrible, the brewing company threw in a ton of ginger, lime, lemongrass, and sea salt, and it basically made a very interesting Texas strange brew. So you can probably make your own ramen beer by filling a trash can full of noodles, sugar, yeast, water, and letting it sit for about a week in the sun.
It's a sodium bomb.
Don't forget to stir it twice daily with a boat oar, but don't add the flavor package. That's a big mistake.
Can you digest it?
That was the commentary from geek.com. I would not suggest doing all that in trash barrel, and I'm sure this beer is actually pretty good. It looks interesting. I have as a PR person and a college kid, I know what ramen noodles is. I would love to taste this beer. If anyone gets to travel to Texas to try this out, I love it. It's the Collective Brewing Project, which is small craft brewery in Texas. Check it out. See what you guys think. Anybody have any strong opinions about the ramen flavored beer?
I feel like for $7, I'd rather go buy a package of ramen and a Bud Light and just kind of party
just
cheap.
smash-
Use the Bud Light instead of water.
But I'm not. Yeah, exactly. But I'm
Now
not
there,
gonna
we're
knock.
on to something. Let's try that out.
Yeah.
I don't want to knock this company for trying something new. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, that was what I was picturing in my head. Like, why would I just not go get a $1 pack or a 50-cent pack of ramen, or hell, a whole case of ramen at that point? But good job.
That's what it sounds like. Anything else, man?
I don't know. I think I might try Dane's idea. Like I might actually do it. So that's all I got.
All right, we're going to move on. So our last story here, and again, I just want to touch on this very quickly because we have literally minutes to go. Ryan, just so you're aware, Brewdog basically gave their investor recap, whatever it is. They're up 2,700%.
Insanity.
Which is insanity. Only because we've been following this company since their inception. So, holy shit! Like,
why didn't we buy
nuts.
any of that?
Well, essentially, you had to give your money in, and then they would, they sat on it in front of their. Remember, there was a hotel at one point. There was all sorts of shit.
Oh yeah.
And and that all kind of crapped out, and then they ended up selling most of the company to a private equity firm, which is then in turn buying out stocks for that percentage. So don't get too psyched up there. Don't get a boner about that 2,700%. It's really not that big a deal. What it is that they bumped up their equity and got bought out, and now they're buying out shareholders. So it's just interesting. Let's see where Brewdog goes. We're going to skip on next to the next thing here. Laos, unless you had a very, if you're gurgling up with something, I'll give it to you. But okay, no, we're moving on. Speaking of gurgling, it doesn't gurgle, an electric car. Moving on to our geek news and of the geek news and craft brew section, we are going to drink these news bits or send them back. I personally love the Tesla Model 3, and since we're talking about non-guzzling gas cars, I think this is cool. Just so you guys know, tomorrow is Friday, which is when Elon Musk promised the first Tesla 3 will roll off the line. This is a $35,000 car made by Tesla, meant for the everyday man. What are your thoughts? Or woman. It's 2017. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Tesla's cool, man.
Yeah, Tesla's all right.
And it's affordable. This one's affordable, which is good. Because they're good cars. They're really good cars. And this one looks okay, too.
It looks okay. I think it's great. But, the same thing with their more expensive cars. I go on vacation and I drive mostly, 2, 4 or 5, maybe 3 or 4 days at a time. If I have a range of 215 miles, right, and I'm on vacation for 3 or 4 days, are you not just wondering the whole time if you'll be able to get home at any time if you have to, like for your dumb car that's just sitting in the parking lot for 3 days? Like, it gives me anxiety. Anybody else? No?
Yeah.
I'm a little like uneasy about that.
Well, with Tesla,
wait.
you get a federal tax credit if it makes you feel better.
That's fine. The Daytona Beach, after being there for then go out to my car and find it dead.
Yeah.
Like, you really needed the digital clock to show for the last 3 days? Haven't driven the goddamn car and now my battery's dead? Like, fucking stupid.
Oh, I didn't know that was one of the concerns with those. I thought they were more efficient than that, to be honest with you.
They're
I'm not a car
efficient,
guy.
But what if your wife leaves the mirror down with a little light on for the little cosmetic thing?
Well,
and then you get there after 3 days of being in a drunken stupor at Daytona Beach or something, and you're stuck and can't get home. What are you supposed to do?
Some cars nowadays will shut down on you just by having the indoor or inside door light on, like if the door's not all the way shut. So I mean that can happen regardless. But 215 miles, is that what you're saying? That's all I get?
Yeah, the Model 3 gets 215 miles.
Jesus.
Which is not far. It's great though, because you can park at places that you can juice it up for free. I get that or whatever, but it still would give me anxiety, I think, just to drive it somewhere and then not be able to get home if I needed to.
I hear you there. That's a little nerve-wracking, but
I just don't care that much about eco-friendly right now.
Yeah.
to be
Is that
honest.
because?
All right.
Well, I mean, gas
Well.
has never been cheaper. Thank you, Trump. No, it's really Obama. It's not even Trump that's done it this much. I don't think gas. I mean, gas is like cheaper now than it's been in the last 10 years, which is crazy. But with that said, I don't think there's an issue with going for economy because, like, I am seconds away from buying a Prius. Like, I really want to because I think the 60 miles per gallon gets me going, man. That gets my electric motor turning.
Yeah.
So I guess it's in one and out the other because you're in a Prius, you're gonna get 60 miles to the gallon. You're gonna fill it up for what, 15 gallons, right? And just have
9.5 gallons.
So you get the same as a full tank now. You just have to fill up more often. But
No,
yeah,
wrong.
60. Well, 600.
gallons.
Sorry.
600. $19 fucking dollars right now.
Sorry, my apologies. You're getting close to 600 miles. That's my apologies. I didn't do the math. But you're also saying but you're still buying gas, whereas you just said that with a Tesla you can charge your car at certain places and get for free. Well, so in one side you're saving money by having a Tesla and charging it for free at different places. But at the same time,
which you would never do, though.
Well,
you would never charge it for free at certain places unless you're going to the Marriott every other week.
Well, that's what you said. So I was just going off of that. But at the same time, you're really not. You're still not helping the economy out, or not the economy, but the environment out, if you will,
right.
Because you still have
no
to
oil
draw power.
Well, no oil changes.
Well, oh, really? That's not bad.
There's no oil. There's no oil in an electric car.
Yeah.
No. Like what I'm saying is, you still have to draw power, which the power is being drawn by a power company, which is using the oil to make the power. So you're still not helping your cause. Is what I'm saying. You're still not helping.
Here's what needs to happen. So these cars are great.
Solar.
Okay. These cars are great, but the other side of it, where they don't have enough of the charging beacons or whatever.
Yeah,
they don't have enough of those. Yeah, they don't have enough. You have to live.
They will cost money.
You have to live in a certain city. You have to be in a certain spot in that city,
and they cost
to find one. And they cost money.
Yeah.
Until they get to a point where these batteries can be charged quick,
on the go, or whatever.
Like at a gas station. You go to a gas station, you fill up, boom, you're done.
Yep.
If you can pull up to a gas station and they have one of those chargers and you just stick it in there for 10 minutes even, go inside, get a couple snacks, and then boom, you're done. That's when
it's cranking. Yeah.
But until that
totally
time, because they keep cranking out these great cars, and this Tesla 3 is top notch. I think I just read that over 100,000 people put a deposit down without even seeing the car. So
I think as of right now, because they launched that a year ago, it's 400,000 people have put money down, have put $1,000 down on this car.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what kept Tesla alive to get to this point.
Now,
which is why they're 3 weeks ahead of schedule.
Where are those 400,000 people? Where do they live? San Francisco?
Yeah.
New York?
Seattle.
Probably not even New York. Seattle, Seattle, over there. And
They're all over the place, man. I mean, it's all over the place. But anybody that owns a Tesla now was thinking about getting a secondary car. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a huge market. It's a huge market.
Well, but what cars like this are doing, and what Tesla is doing, is it's challenging other car companies that are still relying on fossil fuel, to make better, more fuel efficient cars. That is a fact.
Well, true. Well, it's helping because the U.S. government actually put a stop to that recently. And they were like, listen, if X out of Y amount of cars that you have are not over 35 miles to gallon or fewer, or more, then you have to stop making them. And that's what it is. That's why Toyota lost a lot of their SUVs. Nissan lost a lot of the SUVs. Like the Xterra went out of business. The FJ went out of service, because these were federal mandates that came down and said you have to have an average of X. This is like a prime striking point for a company like Tesla that says, well, we get 1 billion miles per gallon because we don't have any gas. That's great. But I don't know, me and Nick, our brother works for the car industry, and he's like, electric's great it's probably not the end all option. And he's been a big proponent of hydrogen for the longest time, but that's not quite there. I think right now, if I was going to buy a car, looking at hybrids and electric, I would probably go the hybrid route because of that mileage anxiety. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Bitches won't be available until summer of 2018. Go ahead, Laos.
How long until somebody with an RV figures out that all they need to do is make it be able to plug in, and then they can just live outside of like the Hilton Marriotts? They're just like, this is way cheaper than doing that, guy. Like they wanted like $100 a pop. That's crazy.
Well, they
just
can
plugs
plug
in and goes,
they,
no,
they do plug in. Walmart gives free RV plug-ins, so you can plug into a Walmart anytime you want.
That explains a lot.
Why aren't we covering that? That's
Why aren't
fantastic.
you living in an RV, Laos? That's the question.
Real good question. I don't know.
I see you looking around.
So we got to keep moving on.
Okay.
We got to keep moving on. We've got 3 more stories, and then we're out of here. So Jesus Christ.
3
All right,
more.
so- 3 more stories, real quick. This is real quick because it's a caveat on the last one. We talked about Tesla basically yesterday. So this was just yesterday. This is hot, spicy news. So hot. Volvo plans to go all electric and abandon the complete conventional car engine by 2019. Boys, that is 1 year and a half from now, right? 1 year and a half.
Get your bend
from
right,
now.
Donnie. Get your bend right.
So Volvo will literally go all electric 1 year and a half from now. That is insane coming from Volvo because they went from diesel to now full electric, right? That's a crazy mind. It's a huge step if you think about it, because you have gasoline, which is common. Then you have diesel, and like, oh, diesel's a little more economic, right? We're gonna go that route. And like, oh no, diesel's not doing well. Diesel's not doing well. All electric. Let's just go all electric. Just gun it. I'm sorry for the audio out there. It was real silent. It's basically just someone accelerating an electric car.
No, that's what that was.
Yeah, right. Sorry, you can't really hear it. But it is I think that's crazy. So they have a target of selling 1 million electric cars and hybrids by 2025. Tesla sold 84,000 cars last year. Do the math. That's a shitload of cars that Volvo has to crank out that are either electric or hybrid.
Do they even do that without right now?
I don't know.
What do they even sell cars? What is a Volvo?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude,
Volvo's they're just yeah, they're great cars. They're little safety boxes. That's all.
Yeah.
It is. You drive around.
No,
with
they
a little
look
padded
cool,
box.
man.
Some of them
they're also a European country, and Europe right now is definitely doing the right thing by being more eco-friendly.
Volvo is not a European country. Do you know what Volvo we're talking
I said
about?
Volvo is made in a European country. That's
Okay.
yeah. Maybe my audio cut out. I'm so
I thought you
sorry.
said they were. I was like, no.
No, I'm not that bad, but
Us here in the land of Chevy.
so.
Yeah, once you move back to Nissanburg.
Yeah.
I had a point because there's a.
Why don't you go back to Toyota?
Well, no, I mean, take what the craft beer industry has done, and gosh, I wish I knew. I wish I could remember the name of the craft beer company that makes them, but they have these 6-pack holders that are biodegradable. Like if they go into the sea, the fish can eat them. They have,
And they're extremely expensive. Trust me.
Well, pay the extra 50 cents. But what's it? The saltwater IPA or something like that?
Yes, I think it is. So I don't know,
I mean,
but yeah.
all of these companies, whether it be craft beer, whether it be the car industry, they're just becoming more eco-friendly, which I think is a fantastic thing. I mean, let's face it, we have one Earth to live on, and if we ruin it, then we can't make craft beer. So that's my point.
Well, we have one Earth and one Mars. Eventually, we'll just get to Mars.
Which Tesla's going to lead the way on that. Well, Musk is going to lead the way on that one. So
yeah, buy your Model 3. Let's see where that money goes. All right, Klaus, did you have anything? Because we have one last story.
We have one last story.
One last story. No, I'm good.
All right. So this one's for you, Dane, man. Just because we're talking about the well, okay, so we have two stories exactly.
Stories.
One more. So one more that I thought was very exciting because we definitely started talking about space here. The Space Corps. So the U.S. has started to make action on a bill that will actually allow a subcommittee to divert a section of the U.S. Air Force to create a Marine version of the U.S. Space Corps.
Get some.
Get some,
Yeah.
space. Get some space.
God, it's motivating.
Stop off me, bro.
Space.
Everyone just floating around. All right, I can't. I don't know what this means.
Is this a new military branch, the Space Corps? Am I going to space camp for boot camp and then?
Yes. How cool would that be? Every kid ever wanted to go to space camp.
Yeah.
The military would get a 500% intake in like new recruits if they want to go to space camp.
Push-ups will be
Right
much
now.
easier in space. That's for sure.
That's true.
Okay, well, I just wanted
Yeah.
to throw it out there. Lost Man, Dane, come on. What are we thinking about it now? The U.S. wants to be the aggregate leader of space technologies and whatnot. Is the Space Corps a thing? Is this something that could happen? What is
Donnie.
boots on the non-ground? What are we thinking?
Boots on the moon.
Yeah.
It's called Call of Duty.
Fucking bomb that stupid moon. Fuck it.
Don't bomb the
Don't
moon.
take the moon
moon.
away. My daughter would be very upset.
ISIS is on the moon.
ISIS is on the moon.
I bet there are people out there that believe that right now.
Yeah, probably. Jesus.
Can we just please get a Space Command? Because all I want is a Space Command. Can we just say we have Space Command?
I think this paves the way to being one step closer to Star Wars. Star Wars is a futuristic universe. It's not in our time. It's 1,000 years from now.
All right.
We are
Dane.
that long time ago. That's
Please,
Aw.
Dane, actual insight. Space Corps.
How much?
please.
How much money is going to go into this program?
So much money.
Is it? Yeah. So like in my boots, in my shoes, I am in the smallest branch of the military, and we don't have any money. We're the most badass. We do the most work. Blah 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 blah. But we get the hand-me-downs from the Army and even the Air Force. The Air Force is the newest branch. They have all the money. Why can't they give
got all the
us?
planes too.
Yeah, we
Dang,
have.
Planes
So,
cost a lot of money.
we have so much.
They're gonna use Republic credits.
They're
It'll
strapped with $80,000 bombs too. Like
So
Yeah.
is this money?
Nope,
Is all
you're
the
gonna
money going to space? That is the question.
Less money. We're building the moon base. That's it. Game over.
Let's take care. Let's take care of what's going on down here.
yes, thank you.
Smooth that out a little bit, okay? Because
Little healthcare wouldn't hurt.
tensions are a little high.
Little
Okay.
healthcare wouldn't hurt.
Tensions are a little high.
Tensions are a little high.
So-
Is that a space pun?
They're not that
Perhaps.
high. Tensions are a
Perhaps.
little low compared to that. They're not that high. They're a little lower than upper atmosphere. They're still within our atmosphere.
Although
Klaus,
here's a question
Klaus,
for you:
wanna
how
have a,
far would the bullet travel once you shoot it in space? That would be a hell of a question.
It wouldn't.
It doesn't shoot. Go ahead, Dane.
Well, then
Well, I was gonna ask Laos if you wanted to have a space party.
Ooh. Yes.
Okay, I'll plan it.
Definitely. Space party.
oh no, he missed it.
Oh,
He missed
yeah,
it.
he'll plan it.
All right,
But-
Dane, that's fine. Dane, you can, but let's just keep it off your anus this time, okay?
Say no more.
Yeah. Oh,
Say no more.
I just remember that was a black hole of terribleness.
Oh, that was
Oh,
amazing.
boy.
Way to come back with that little zinger.
Oh.
Mhm.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. We have one more piece of news.
Space. Oh no, never mind. More space.
More space. Keeps going.
No space, and we have to go. But first off, we want to talk about this. Someone in the podcast here got a Pro controller.
Yeah.
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 Give us some insights, and then what we're gonna do is we will touch base on some stuff next week. But go ahead, Dane.
I got a
Yeah.
Pro controller now.
The
Yeah,
Pro
so
controller is
picked
worth
up
it.
picked up this little ditty the other day, and this thing is totally worth it. Now,
What
does
is
it
the
work?
thing for the non-viewing listeners? It is the Nintendo Switch.
Pro controller. Dum-ba-ba-ba. Hey, so if you are used to Xbox controllers, this is basically the same exact thing. It might be a little bit smaller, which is fine. I have small hands, so it fits my hands perfectly. And the only Switch game I have is Zelda, and with Zelda before on the controller that comes with the Switch, I was, freaking crouching Link, hidden death trap. So every time I would play, I would hit this certain button and I'd be crouching the whole time, and it was annoying as hell. This controller takes that away. I have more control. The fighting's easier, all that good stuff. The only con I think I would give this is the analog sticks come out a little far. If you can see that on the screen there.
Oh yeah.
Gotta lift your thumbs too high.
A little bit, but it's super minimal, not a huge deal. But this thing, I couldn't continue playing the Switch until I got one of these. So I scrounged up a bunch of random
all your
junk and traded it in, and ended up getting like $100 towards this bad boy. So
how much is the remote?
It sounds like you're giving that controller 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 analog sticks up.
How much is the remote, Dane?
This thing, $69.99.
Yeah, it's $70.
Crazy. Now, would I pay that if it was cash coming out of my pocket? Probably not. That's why I took a bunch of time to scrounge up a bunch of random crap. So, but yeah, Nintendo Switch Pro Controller, definitely worth it if you're playing Zelda. The other games, maybe not. But I think with Mario, Metroid Prime, games like that are coming out, this is going to be worth having.
Did you buy Mario Kart, please?
No, not yet.
God damn it. Because see, what will make you even more happy you bought that is that the only way to play Mario Kart 2-player is to break off each one of you to have of the Joy-Cons each.
Yeah.
And that is a crippling observation of why you can't, why it doesn't work, because you're just like, God.
You're like,
sucks.
Is that what happened to you when we played a couple weeks back?
I kicked ass. I always kick ass.
You kicked ass in the morning, but I distinctly remember winning a lot of games and you being like, this motherfucker right here. Why the fuck is he fucking winning at fucking 2 a.m. in the morning? Fucking fucker.
Yep.
No. But you were. It was fun. Sorry. Go ahead, Lars.
No. So if the Switch ever reinvents itself, would it just get bigger? Like, would the controllers that come with it just slide off? Would they just get bigger?
It really depends. To me, it really depends on the game.
Yeah, it can't for the function. I think the only alternative is to have a secondary controller.
Yeah. Now, Laos, you played Zelda with the normal controller, and I know you kind of had the same issue. It just being kind of compact.
You start you crouch when you shouldn't crouch, like you said, Dane. And
so whenever I would get into a battle or a boss fight, and I'm trying to run, I would crouch down because I'd get too crazy with it, and I'd press down on that analog. This one prevents – it still has that feature where you press the left analog and you crouch, but it's not as sensitive. So
is that when you were just playing it on the TV, or when you had it where each of the remotes was on either side of the tablet thing?
So this is – you don't need a cord. It's cordless.
Right.
So – I meant the
original remotes. I'm sorry. I meant the original remotes.
So the original remotes, I played it all 3 different ways. I played it, on the regular screen TV with the controller. If I was on the couch or something, I would have it in the tablet mode, if you will, or the Game Boy mode.
The tablet mode was better. That's what I'm asking. The tablet mode was better than the single remote?
It kind of played the same, although, I know you're viewing me right here, but a lot wider, but still that left analog is so sensitive to the crouch. And that was the huge thing with me. And playing that game in general, you're screwed if you're crouching and you can't, and then you freak out and you're like, oh, I can't get back up, and then you're dead.
Gotcha.
So,
that's what I want. That's what I want to know.
It can be quite brutal.
And being, probably one of the best games I've ever played in my life, and when it's all said and done, will probably be number 1. It's definitely worth having this little ditty because the GameCube controller is my favorite controller of any system, and this kind of brings me back to that. So it's good. I recommend it if you can afford it. If you can't, just hold off.
So with that said, we're gonna let Dane enjoy his controller and play a little of the over the next week. We'll play some of the Zelda DLC that we touched on last week, because I've played a good deal of it, but in all honesty, I haven't played past, I think, maybe the 5th level, which is here's the good news, guys that are playing the Zelda Breath of the Wild. You get actually a little break after you beat 5 levels of the trail or the trial of the Master Sword. You get like an oasis where you can kind of re-up on your stuff, because you're dropped in when you have nothing. You're basically just naked, and you have none of your stuff and none of your abilities. You have your powers. You can do bombs and you can do the magnesis and stuff like that, but you don't have any of your mask or anything like that. So it's powerful. But I got to about the 5th level, and I was down to like 2 hearts, and I re-upped a little bit and saved a bunch of stuff and cooked some meat, and then went into the 6th level and immediately died. The problem with the Trial of the Sword is that it kicks you back to the original starting point. So every single time you have to start over from scratch, which sucks, but it is a very fun match, and it's a very fun layout. So I want Dane to get a little bit of gravity on that, especially now that he's got his new Pro controller. So we'll see what happens with that. And on that note, boys, this has been the show. Where can the good people find you, Mr. Lousman? Please let everybody know.
I can be found at Mr. Lousman on Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. That was
All
it.
right. And Rye Guy, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram at BrewedBoy813. Check me out though, mostly on Instagram, because I've been doing a lot of videos with the brew and stuff like that. So, and photos.
All right. And Mr. Dano, where can the good people find you, my friend?
You can find me on Twitter at DT Mirt.
All right, and as always, guys, thank you so much. If you want to support the show at all, please just use the Amazon link below. It does not cost you a damn thing. The Amazon wizards give us a small, I think, 4% commission off everything you sell or that you buy using the link below. It doesn't cost you a damn thing, and it does benefit the show. So we thank you. We appreciate you. And as we always say at the end of every episode, Dane?
Stick to your pod, Froggy.
Yeah, there we go. And now we'll be able to stop.
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!